What's going on, y'all? Married to Medicine season 3, episode 6. Oh, and I just snorted. My bad. Return of the Queen Bee. Okay, this episode felt like a filler episode to me. Um, I could have did without some scenes. So we get the first scene with Dr. Heavenly and her daughter. First of all, Dr. Heavenly's daughter looked like she fucked herself and she spit her out. Like she didn't have no husband or anything because that girl, I know that sounded kind of wrong. I just replayed it back in my head. But no, the little girl looked literally like she was just taken out of Dr. Heaven because the girl looked like her twin for real. I was just looking at her, I said, damn, that is your child, you know. But it was cute. She was talking about her little foundation that she had, Heavenly Angels, and she was telling her what it's about and how to handle certain situations and things of that matter. And, you know, said that she can come. I'm surprised that she said she was going to have Dr. Jackie there to do the sex ed stuff. And I was like, okay, you know what? I guess Jackie, you use her to your benefit when you need to, and you shade her when you don't need her, I guess. But that's what's gonna happen. Toya, she's dressing up in this get up, I guess, to be sexy, to try to convince Eugene to, you know, do the Nomad, let her come on to be a consultant for the Nomad company that he got. And, you know, basically she was faking like she was doing some work on that computer. When I looked at it, she was just on her email. She was on hotmail.com. Hotmail or Yahoo, whichever one. But most likely Hotmail. And I was like, okay, whatever. You know, that was cute, I guess. She was just trying to convince him using her little feminine wiles, trying to get him to say, you know, you should let me do this and all this stuff. Then she talking about the Porsche. She want a new truck because the Porsche too small. Then she has a business meeting with his other partner who also is involved with the No Man Company. And, you know, putting forth and saying what it is that she brings to the table. And they told her her pros and her cons. And eventually she was, you know, they going to let her work with them for a minute. Okay, that was basically Toya stuff. So Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone having lunch together, and Dr. Simone is telling Dr. Jackie all the shit that happened at the strip club with Lisa's husband and Jill. Dr. Simone was all into it. She was acting it out. She was like, girl, next thing you know, the stripper, this tall, dark-skinned stripper just come over. And she like, I know your husband, Darren. How's she doing? Because we cater to a elite clientele. And then just walked away like it wasn't nothing. I said, Dr. Simone, you into this a little bit too much. But then that would have been me. I would have been sitting there like Dr. Jack, like, what? And I missed this shit, bitch. Damn. You know? But it was funny. That little scene was funny. Also, what was funny, okay, so everybody's trying to see whether or not Lisa's going to come to this event. This review's going to be short because it really wasn't nothing. They trying to see if Lisa going to come to the event, all right, the Heavenly Angels. Lisa is at home and she's talking to her husband. First of all, he comes in. Is it me or, I don't know, maybe that's really how he talked, but he talks so monotone, like he's so uninterested in whatever's going on, or it just seemed like every time he's in Lisa's presence, he just got this down, like he has this down feeling, like his spirit's just so low down, like he just, oh my God, I gotta be around this bitch. That's what he sound like. And then he come in the house, hello, is anybody home? Is anybody, oh, hey babe, how you doing? She like, so I was at the strip club at Cheetah's, and they said this, they talking about something, you was there. I mean, yeah, I was there, and it was for a homecoming thing with my brother. I didn't know we was going, but you told me we was going. You was going to get food. Well, they served food there, so that's what we was doing. I ain't lied to you and all this stuff and yada yada yada. And the way that Darren was talking, I'm just looking at him, and then I'm picturing and you know going back in my mindset to last week to the way that the stripper was saying that he's always in there, and the way that I'm putting it together like. You in that confessional trying to explain, and the way that he talked already when it comes to Lisa, and then when he's trying to explain himself, it sounds as if he's hiding and not really telling all the truth. Nigga, you was not in there just for that one time with your brother in his little party or whatever the fuck it was. You was in there for a few times. For her to know your name and know that you always up in there, girl, come on, let's stop playing. And then here go Lisa with this. A good Christian man don't do this. Look, let me tell you something. Your pastor probably up there getting titties in his face and stuff like that, tricking dollars off on strippers. All right, she just need to let that shit go. Okay, I understand some people don't like that type of atmosphere, but don't look down on people who do. Okay, because there's nothing wrong with it. All right, I just hate that. That's so fucking disrespectful. Like, ugh, because you're so uptight. Lisa, have you ever thought maybe because you're so uptight, that's the reason why your husband do the things that he do? I'm just saying. She look like she fucking missionary style all the damn time. But anyway, moving on from that. So the big thing was whether or not she was gonna come to the Heavenly's Angel event, and she wound up coming. I don't know if she came on time, but she wound up coming. And Dr. Heavenly got up there talking, and the event. I really liked the event. I really liked the idea of, trying to educate young women, even older women, women in general, especially at-risk teens and things of that matter, trying to give them some education on life experiences and how to handle themselves when they be in confrontation. You don't need to fight all the times. You can just walk away. That don't make you weak. You the bigger person from walking away, okay? You don't have to engage and stuff like that. So that was good, that Dr. Heavenly incorporated that, and she did the little skit with Toya. Bitch, when she said, Toya, you a gold digger. Okay, it is what it is. So what? And then Dr. Heavenly was in that confessional. See, Dr. Heavenly make me like her sometimes, and then she make me dislike her sometimes. I liked her on this episode because in this confessional, bitch, she was shady as fuck, and I was laughing my ass off. She was like, Toya, she probably used to being called a gold digger. She didn't flinch for that one. I said, oops. Oops. But then they brought up cheating, right? So Lisa was there. Lisa and Dr. Simone, as soon as they said that, she was like, so how we going to bring up the subject of cheating? How many people up in here have ever been cheated on? A lot of people raised their hand and all that stuff. When Dr. Heavenly said that, Dr. Simone's face was like, mind you, she's sitting right behind Lisa. Mind you, all this shit just happened, okay? And Jill is there too. And I was just like, Dr. Heavenly, you know what you're doing, bitch. And then, some girls got up and they was like, yeah, my man, he cheated on me. And if it happened again, I'm over and I'm done with it because I can't take no more. I'm not about that life. You're not going to do that. You're not going to disrespect me and all that stuff. And then the other girl was like, yeah, he cheated, but I just can't let him go, That's my boo. Like I know I should go, but I just can't do it. It's just be like ingrained in me to just stay and put up with his bullshit. I just put up with his bullshit. And then next thing you know, I don't know what Dr. Heavenly or one of the girls was saying, and then all of a sudden Lisa was like, well, actually, and I said, oh, let her speak on this cheating stuff. And she was just giving her little version of what the cheating is. And, you got to learn to build that trust of when he cheat and, do what you got to do. And then y'all can come back better. But the way that she said it was as if he cheated once. Her husband cheated once. Dr. Heavenly was so fucking shady when it came to Alicia's stuff in that confessional. I was in here fucking rolling my ass off. I said, bitch, you was needed on this segment because Lisa was standing up there contradicting herself. She was acting like her husband only cheated on her once. Okay, acting like it don't affect her. Bitch, you don't trust the man. Okay, that's why you act the way that you act. All right? It was just funny to me. It was funny to all of us because we like, girl, sit your ass down. You are in no room to talk. Okay? Your man probably still cheating on you at this moment. But moving on from that, Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone get their old asses up there trying to play with condoms and put a condom on a banana and shit like that. I was just like, really? Y'all know how I'm gay as fuck, and I'm like, all you gotta do is, if it's unlubed, lube that shit up, pinch the top, and roll that bitch down. Like, we taught this in sex education, you know what I'm saying? Like, 16 years old, sex education, sophomore, high school. We learned all this shit then. But okay, they was acting like they didn't know what the fuck they was doing. Dr. Heavenly was up there stroking a banana. I said, damn, Big Daddy ain't giving you nothing? What's going on? What's going on, Dr. Heavenly? She's just all up into it. Mind you, her daughter is there watching all this shit. I said, calm down a little bit. Throw some water, douse that flame out, okay? Not in front of the kids. But it was cute, and then they started talking, and I'm glad they brought this up because a lot of people feel this way. if I don't have sex with a person, but if I give them oral, that's not really sex. If it has sex in it, bitch, that's sex, okay? Oral sex, and you can't get STDs from that shit, okay? Get herpes of the mouth, okay? Get genital, get them, get your STDs all up in your mouth, okay? You be walking around looking like yuck mouth and shit, all right? Put a condom on if you're gonna do that shit. That's a lesson for all of y'all. But moving on from that, the thing went cool, and then I don't know if Lisa started talking to Dr. Simone and Jackie about what happened at the event. No, they was talking to Jill, and then Jill. No, I think Lisa was just looking over, like trying to see what they talking about. And then next thing you know, Lisa comes over and try to talk to Jill and be like, "Girl, yeah, so this did happen and yada yada yada." And Jill was like, because I was just a little bit confused. Like, why would you think that I would do something like that? I didn't do anything. Like, I didn't know what was going on. She was like, well, you know, I got you and all that stuff. And I'm sitting here like, Lisa, apologize for what you did to that girl. You even told your husband that you made this girl cry. Polar Jill, I made her cry and all this stuff because I'm thinking that I'm yelling at her thinking that she did this and did that, and you couldn't even say, well, I apologize for coming at you the way that I came at you. I was in my feelings. I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know what was going on in my own household. I truly do apologize. No, you just said gotcha and then walked away. Like, girl, what? Jill, get a backbone, bitch, because you look like you can say some shit when you want to. Okay, you should have sat there and be like, apology, bitch. Apology, bitch. What the fuck? I mean, I ain't trying to act no ass, and I know we up in here trying to avoid confrontations because that's what we just learned and shit like that just to walk away. But own up to your shit and apologize to me for doing all that shit and embarrassing me like that and accusing me of something that I did not do. All you had to do was fucking ask once, and once I said I didn't do it, bitch, that was it. You go home and you talk to your motherfucking husband. You need to keep a track on your man, okay? Obviously, he doing shit behind your back that you don't know. Boop. Bitch, I was just like, ugh, Lisa. But after that, Quiet was talking to her husband. Quiet, she was right about that Facebook shit. Facebook is so fucking prehistoric. Like, I don't even get on there like that. I share my shit on there and I'm off. May put a couple of statuses up on there, but I don't play on Facebook like that. Twitter is where it's at. And all that stuff. Instagram and shit. But anyway, moving on from that. While they was on Facebook, that's where her husband found out that Mariah, she was in the hospital. She suffered a miscarriage. We all know about that. She was pregnant with twins, and she suffered a miscarriage. And Quiet, I'm glad Quiet reacted the way that she reacted. She put all her differences aside that she had with Mariah, and came to a humanized side and was like, I feel bad for her because they were friends, but she went over to her house and, they talked about it. And, Mariah did say that she did apologize. And, Quiet said, yeah, you did. I just was in my mode of being pissed off and I didn't want to accept it and all this stuff and yada, yada, yada. And, they was just basically talking and catching up. And Mariah felt a little hurt about the fact that with all this stuff that was going on and her being in the hospital, the only people that talked to her or whatever was Quiet and Dr. Simone. No one else really talked to her or asked about her or whatever. And I was like, but, if they're not really friends with you, you can't expect them to just be hitting you up just because you're sick or whatever. Because I don't care, depending on the severity of the severity of the fallout and the fact that I'm not, because once I'm done with a person, I'm done with a person, and something can happen to you. And if something happens to me, I don't expect you to call me up and be like, girl, I heard what happened. I know we're not speaking, but, if you need anything, no, because I wouldn't do it to you. That's just how I am. Because once I put a person out of my life, you're out of my life. You don't need to know, and I don't need to know what's going on with you. So that's probably how some of them was thinking. And if you never had a real problem with any of the other girls, then they really wasn't your friends, so you shouldn't expect them to call you up. But if they was really your friends, that's kind of fucked up that they didn't. But that was basically the episode. Quiet and Mariah kind of mended fences and stuff like that. Quiet finally apologized and took responsibility for her actions and their fallout and stuff like that. And, I like the fact that Mariah was not trying to jump right back into the group. She said, I'm going to let they settle their shit before I do anything. But it is what it is. It was an okay episode. Child, I got to go back to bed. I had a head cold or something that's just been fucking with me all weekend. But I see y'all later. Y'all tell me how y'all feel and I see y'all later. Peace. Oh, that look like a gang sign. Peace.